Good morning. 10:49 a.m. on Tuesday, March 20th, 2018 in Sarasota, Florida. It's been, almost 3 weeks exactly since my last recording. Becoming Iron Woman within Iron Man. Becoming Iron Woman within Iron Man. I'm jumping in, and that is the title of the first chapter of a new kind of reality book. I'll call it, not reality TV, reality book. Feels more, there is no word for what all the things that I'm feeling. I just know that it's time for me to share again. And the last time, I had a lot of lessons to learn. 5 years of lessons to learn. But I know I'm a storyteller. I know I'm a sharer. I know what my intentions are. And I've learned. I cannot claim yet that I've learned all the lessons. In fact, what am I talking about? I know I haven't learned all the lessons. I know I haven't learned all the lessons, because if only in one area with Brandon, to what extent I am still very much learning lessons with the things that are being brought to the surface, that continue to be brought to the surface in our dynamic, with all else going on. So, this is not Alyson claiming to have some, secret key that's going to work for everybody. Not in any way, shape, or form. This is Alyson trying to honor the character. This is the soul of Alyson. Consciously aware of the fact that it chose to take form as Alyson in at least a part of it. In this time-space dimension, on this planet we call Earth, at this exact time, for very real purpose, for a very distinct role, has a very clear calling. And I can't not pursue it. And take two needs to happen. And the biggest thing, from the character's point, from the 3D world's point, that Alyson needs, an aspect that I do need, sort of an audience. That's part of it. It's kind of the way that we've created this world is this, it's ultimately agreements. It's agreeing how to exchange energy. Agreements in form. That's what this dimension's about, this reality. Agreeing to see. I don't need people. I need a small audience. And I think I have felt now through these 5 years a way to really hone in on, now instead of putting it out to the whole world, like at some level, I knew this 5 years ago when I leaped, but it was very innocent and very naive, and I just shared, very much being called and guided by something bigger than Alyson, but there was no way that many people were going to be able to see that. And I knew that at the time. But I knew to what extent that spirit was flowing through me, and I was at its mercy. Now I'm in this funky place now where I'm consciously aware of how much I'm pushing, and I don't want to push as the character, but my soul needs to get back to that frequency, to that vibration. And it's only flirted with it in small instances since that magical year. And all of that has been for great reasons. But now it's time to share again and to work to find my tribe, if you will. I've got to put out a call again. And last time I was too affected, way too affected by all those to whom the call isn't intended, but that are still going to hear the call, because we've got a vast world. I've lived a vast life. I haven't stayed in one place ever. I've got to make the call. Last time I needed to be in a place and I wasn't yet to make the call and just roll with whatever anybody else. Clearly it's not intended for your energy. Okay? And just not be affected by how my call affects them. And just kind of remain focused. In the 3D world, focus is essential. Focus is how what materializes. I'm honing my focus. In the grand scheme of things of spirit, we don't need anything that isn't spirit, that isn't constantly accessible to us because it is us. But in the 3D world, we need one another. Now, you never need one specific person to the point where if they're abusing and not respecting you as your form, you never need that. Like, there's never an agreement, a soul agreement to do that kind of harm, even though there's a fine line, because a lot of us stay in relationships where we're not being treated well. But that's, that ultimately we have to be the ones that leave these relationships and these things in our lives. And that's that's a whole nother tangent. But I've learned that in my character, while I don't need any one particular person specifically, I need a reflection in physical form. I need a group that's going to agree to tell my story the way I'm working to tell my story. And on the surface, the Reader's Digest level of things, Alyson appears the same. Everything has changed. Everything has changed foundationally in ways that literally are creating a life and a world at a different frequency, i.e., a totally different life, a totally different reality. While simultaneously, I keep jumping back to the old story because I haven't had a lot of reflection of the new story. The only person, literally the only person on the face of the planet that can tell my story right now, to the best of my knowledge, that I've come across in physical form and actually met in physical form, that can agree to tell my story in the way that I'm telling it at the specific level. I'm not talking the general level. The general level, the first time, and I'm going to bring it back quickly, but just to the KD tangent. The first time I saw Krishna Das in Orlando for that weekend, early March, which is exactly 5 years ago, early March of 2013, right before I went home to Michigan, what I experienced there I went by myself, complete strangers, and I can tell you it felt like what little I exchanged with them of my story I chose to share when conversation was struck up at meals and at times away from kirtan and stories. It was like you can feel it. They were 100% in my corner. Like that's the pure exchange we had. It didn't matter what was coming out of the other person's mouth. It didn't matter the specifics. If you were there and had been guided to this point in this life where you're drawn and ended up at a Krishna Das weekend retreat with this man and what he's channeling and with 250 other people in a Hindu temple, there's just no doubt, man. I don't care what it looks like on the surface. Your intention is you've reached this sort of critical level of frequency where it's clear spirit is got the majority of the wheel. Okay, versus ego, if we're going to oversimplify it. It's clear spirit's got the wheel, and go for it. And that 100%, hey man, willing, it's like this ability to completely support somebody, even if it's 100%, 180 degrees in the other direction of anything that you would do on your own. That's like the the hardest circumstance of the 3D world that I can imagine in the most general description of the challenge of awakening right now. And what that means essentially is learning how to truly be in this world but not of it, to live as spirit, which is to choose love. Choose love every time. Choose love, not fear, love. And that's the oversimplified, you're choosing love or fear. It's not based by any sort of arbitrary right or wrong. It's love or fear, love or fear. And to literally learn how to walk through form, choosing love with every single thing that comes across from driving in traffic to the most intimate of relationships in your life. Handling the day-to-day and everything that comes up. And you notice it so much more starkly when you feel this pure bliss at this level of, oh, holy shit, this is what reality is. Like you feel it. Like, and it's now you can sense every moment of every day in the most innate, most routine, boring of things. You can feel when even in those circumstances, you're choosing a lower frequency. And thus, as such, contributing to the mass world that we are all co-creating. By you're contributing it in a way that you have the awareness that that's less, it's not less than, it's a lower frequency. It's contributing to the fear versus contributing to the new version of Earth that's based in the frequency of love all the time. I'm not saying we don't have love on this planet. We have insane amounts of love on this planet. But what this planet has manifested in physical form has been mass fear, not mass love. Now, what that means is, what's crazy, because of the extreme polarity of things right now and the extreme duality, that means it takes about this much real love. Like deep fucking can't fake it love. And to me, there's nothing more clear that can demonstrate that if I can genuinely get to that point where I can meet somebody or know somebody who is choosing to any degree consciously, to choosing whatever degree they're choosing consciously, whatever part's conscious / unconscious, that breakdown matters not. Because I know that the reality is that their conscious self is choosing, but that their soul, the higher self, is what ultimately chose this entire life circumstance. So I know that it's, on some level, we're all choosing to be able to interact with, in whatever level, close, far, crossing paths, and just hearing their story, and hold space and have no judgment for somebody who is choosing a life that, in whatever arbitrary way you would define it, is 180 degrees in the opposite direction of anything I would value or choose. Being able to, like 100% genuinely, this is what I'm trying to work to do, because that's pure love, and that is the essence of what we are. And when you start to awaken, you know that's the truth. How can you not call bullshit on yourself every time that you're choosing fear? Let me tell you, that is a really, really challenging task. To truly be able to say, hey man, more power to you. Hey lady, go for it. You're choosing to be, a character that no offense. And that's just it. No offense can be taken. It's honoring the character that your soul came here to play and not judging the characters. All the characters together are creating the story. You love the bad guys as much as you love the good guys, if only to hate the bad guys. There's no better than. Imagine drawing in relationships and things happening that are bringing every opportunity to the surface of things you just wouldn't even imagine were going on within you. Yet again, when you awaken and you understand how form is is comes about, how something is physically manifested begins with your beliefs, your expectations, and your focus. To what you give focus, that is what ultimately manifests in our 3D world of form. It all boils down to something you can't point to. Thoughts and focus of those thoughts, and more importantly, your beliefs. The beliefs upon which you're having these thoughts, like are causing these thoughts. Your beliefs and expectations. So, oh my God. Let me bring it, I can't believe how many tangents. Don't judge it, Alyson, don't judge it. Honor the character that you are. I need a very small audience. I sense it is going to be comprised of women to begin with, and needs to be comprised of women. This is what my human character learned. I don't want it. I'm not looking to be famous or to have my life plastered in any way, shape, or form in strangers' worlds. Not in the 3D way. I am looking for deep energetic connection with other souls. I am looking for connections beyond the surface. And I'm not trying to judge the surface, man. If you have found your flow in the surface, man, keep rocking it. I'm not intending ever to judge anything on the surface. And I don't know the deep of any, but like that's what I'm trying to say. Like, all we know is surface. It is very rare in our world today, especially for high achievers, which is the vast majority of my personal network throughout my whole life, has been heavily weighted on the doers, overachievers, triple A's, perfectionists. If I were to go beyond women and hone into the next level that I was speaking to, it's that description of personality. People wired that way, because I believe through my experiment of energy, very consciously, that I launched at the end of 2012, early 2013, that is part of the biggest hypotheses that I have, and what I've been studying on all levels is the energy, specifically my energy and how it interchanges with everything. Because my energy is the only one that in physical form I can fully understand and comprehend. And it's the only thing I have full control over. That's the only thing, is how I react and what I give attention to and my choices. How I act, what I say, what I do, what I think. Most importantly, most heavily weighted is what I think. So I cannot hide behind like how crazy what it is I feel like I'm being called to do is like, I know I've been through this before, the last time, because it doesn't matter, like, that the lessons, because it's still going to take, like, I'm still going to look crazy right at the onset. To even if I only expose and leap in here, because it's not going to make sense at the beginning, but I have to just leap in and trust everything that my intuition tells me, which is that you'll feel the story, and you'll feel that I mean it when I say, yes, this seemingly is ego-focused. It's coming on through the story of Alyson, but very consciously being lived as Alyson, with the knowing I'm a teacher, I'm living it, and as I'm living it, I am working to immediately generalize what I am learning through the character of myself to a group, generalize it, to be able to take the lessons I'm learning and attempt to share in a way that prevents people from having to put themselves through as much misery as we as humans do. Because I believe that's part of the enlightenment process that our species is going through right now. I believe this is how we are intended to be, helping one another. I believe this is going to go a long way towards real, genuine healing. Because I know what I've experienced, and I know what my intention is, and I just have to leap in. But it's going to look crazy, even if I limit it to what I'm feeling called to do, even though I've got a list of over 50 women already, like, and that's just a fraction. If I go back and think of the most powerful, notable connections I've had with all the women throughout all the phases of my 41 and a quarter years that I've lived, I've got a list of 50 women like that. And my gut, my intuition says I'm going to share it with the 10 energies that I got my 10 and 4 primary numbers, 10 and 4 and 10. You're always going to see combinations of 10 and 4. I honor, because I believe in the energy of numbers, and those have been two of the biggest indicators for me. And that ties into Joe Dumars playing for the Pistons in basketball, like number 4 and 10. So I'm going to start with 10 women and hope to get 4. Trying to prepare myself for the very real possibility that 6 of the 10, at least, will be like, what the fuck? Like, what is she talking about? Like, what? And then here's the extra layer. Having to cross paths with them physically. Now, again, I think my goal, if I've made the progress within the connection as my soul to consciously with my character, where my awakening my character more consciously to this greater reality. My belief, my hope is that I'm batting higher than 400. And that's a pretty fucking phenomenal batting average if you know baseball. I would love, if I can bat 400, man, that's pretty badass. I hope to be batting at least 500. If only because the energy that comes at you when you reveal now the energy of judgment is so it's so distinct, and it's so prevalent in our world, and you only that's all I can say is that when you are on that other side, not a fucking word needs to be said, and here's what's worse, you don't even, if you're really sensitive like me to the energy, you don't even have to be in the same room, you don't even have to be in the same state or country, and you can feel it. You can feel if you're particularly tied to a particular energy, whether it's a specific human being, or even, I'll take it up a notch, up a branch in the tree, to a particular frequency. So if I'm and I am very connected to that type A frequency, and I know a lot of people in that frequency, man, and so if you're connected to a particularly type frequency, you can feel that shit from anywhere. You know how that particular frequency is reacting to what you're trying to express. And let's just say I am aiming and hoping for 10 for 10. I don't want a single one, because rest assured, every one of these 10 women, the biggest connected, it's the strength of connection, has nothing to do with how long I've known these women, has nothing to do, I don't know anybody this well, as well as I know this deeply, in present time. I've had these connections in my past, but I haven't had, and that's what I'm longing for, and putting the call out, the tribe where your souls came here to work together. The strength of connection is the biggest thing that I'm seeking. And the stronger my hypothesis is, the stronger the connection, the less likely they're going to flee. The more likely it's going to trigger something in this quote unquote positive way, unifying way, inspiring way, not a fearful way, a way of love, something, it's going to take them higher. That's my goal, and the strength of connection. And I kind of still feel like if one person feels a connection that deeply, I feel like it's in the physical dimension, physically impossible for it to be one-sided. I feel like the other person, the other part of that energy has to be experiencing that deeply. And if you have that deep of a connection, man, if it's already connecting on love, shit, man, get working, because two people connecting, two doers, two triple type A overachieving doers that are truly motivated by, not motivated, that's the point, inspired by love rather than the dominating energy of the world at large right now, which is motivated by fear. At the essence, if you were to dig down and get to the essence of the energy, it's motivated by fear rather than inspired by love. So get back. If you get two women, and I'm sorry, I don't want to say and generalize the two women, but I'm sorry, based on my experience, the women are the ones that this clicks in the easiest, because and that's a whole nother tangent, but I sense, man, I've had these connections with so many of these women. Like, I don't really know them that well, but the strength of connection and how deep the connection went with such little, that's love, man. And you don't need to, and the men tend to distrust. They tend to jump to distrusting that. Women get inspired by it, but we don't have ways to then take that energy, that very real inspired energy, and have a way to, it doesn't matter. It's not going to come out. It's not going to make sense, because that's inspiration. It's something that is not controlled by your consciousness. It's something greater than you that's trying to work through your consciousness, through your character. So we got to have room to like get that out with just the initial understanding. No, it's not perfect. No, I'm not looking to make $1 million on this. No, I'm not looking to reach 1 billion people. It's not motivated by that. Stop trying to fucking put labels on it and constrict it and explain it. Stop making me explain it and try to defend it. I need an avenue for all of this true energy of love coming through me. And if that triggers something in your ego, that's not my shit. And that's what I keep drawing in the closest relationships in my life. There's a lot of fear. So it's really, really challenging for people it's not that the love's not there. There's just insane amounts of fear. And then that triggers it within me. So it's like, oh God, I'm going off too many tangents. Don't judge it. Don't judge it. What time? What do we got here? I'm not going ever more than 40. And really, these need to stay under 30. We got 2.5 minutes. And I didn't even get to what I thought was going to come out of me when I pushed play. I feel like I should do another recording. Okay. Summarize it here. Becoming Iron Woman within Iron Man. Chapter 1. I don't even have the book title yet. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just having to jump in and put some sort of framework on it to help contain the energy that's coming out of me. I've got to have an audience. I sense I only need 4 women. 4 women, so 10. The first 10 are likely going to get this recording within the next week. That's it. And they're not going to be more than a half hour, and likely I'm going to interject ones from the past to sort of not prove my point, but to say, listen, I don't care how this looks on the surface. I promise you, once I get an audience, an identifiable audience that gives a shit, that can give me just 4 recordings. Give me 4 recordings where you're like, yeah, don't respond. It's okay if you don't respond and I'm crazy. But just give me 4 recordings. Say, you know what? I can take this craziness for 4 half-hour segments. You know, like, that's all. And I don't want any commentary. I just need to put it out there to an audience that I feel can receive it and just agree to be like,